Someone is trying to join. Okay, so so last class we spoke about the basic data types in Java. Is my voice audible? My voice is audible, right? Can
Yes, sir.
So in this class we'll talk about variables. So variables means you know that the value of a variable will change during the execution of a program. And also variable means a name. It's a name given to it's a name given to which a name given to a particular thing which has some predefined memory location. Variable means it is a basic unit of storage. Variable is a basic unit of storage. You know that the value of a variable will change. So for variable you will give a name. So what are the rules for naming the variable means the rules are same. The rules which are applicable for naming identifier, the same rules is applicable for variables also. Like cannot like one general thing will be you cannot use keyword as the variable name. So one point, so that can be the one point. So so variable means when I was talking about the C++, I told you that if you declare a variable of a, so for that inside their memory will be allocated with some bytes the same way. So in Java also variable means it's a basic unit of storage. So um, a variable can be defined. So one thing is before using any variable, you have to define that variable. How do you define that variable means data type, then variable name, variable name. So this is the declaration. So this they are given type, the variable name is equal to some value. So you don't so this is the general format. So how to declare a variable means data type of the variable, then the variable name. So this is general, this is a general thing. So if you want to add few more things means you can give value to the variable. So generally the data type and variable is sufficient, but if you want to give value to the variable means you can give the value also. So variable means it's a basic unit of storage in Java. And one more thing, mm, how do you define? For example, I can declare the variable. For example, I can declare the variable as integer a. So here a is a variable of type integer, or even I can write it as integer a is equal to 5. So here I've declared the variable a as the type of integer, but for that I'm assigning the value 5. I mean I'm storing the value 5 for that. So like this. So here you can also declare all the variables in a single line which is separated by comma, like integer a comma b comma c, or you can give value for c also. For a and b are not giving any value, which you will give it in the later part of the program. So but you're just separating them, and for the variable c you're giving the value 5. Or here also see, here also they're declaring the variable d and they're giving the initial value of variable d with 3. They're declaring variable e. For variable e they're not giving any value, and for variable f they're giving the value 5. So this is also declaring three variables where variable d and f are been given values and variable e has not been given any values. In the first example, you are just declaring the variables, you are not giving any value. In the second example, you are declaring three variables d, e, and f, and for d and d, you are giving the values 3 and 5 respectively, and for the variable e, you are not giving any value. And you can check the third one byte z is equal to 22, where you are declaring a variable of type byte and you're giving value 22. That so z will take the value 22. You know that the size of range of byte is from 127 to 128. And the next one, you're defining a double which is having double precision, and it is storing the value of a pi 3.14159. And this example, you're declaring a character. So this there's a space between this char and x. Character x is equal to where you're storing the value of x. So this variable x is been initialized with the value X. So these are some of the declaration. So in this you're declaring the integer data type, byte data type, double data type, and character data type. You know there are eight primitive data types: byte, short, int, long, float, double, character, boolean. You can also declare a boolean also, like boolean b. So there you can also declare the boolean type, and you can assign this boolean value to the variable itself, or you can assign it to the This is how the variables will be declared in Java. So variable means a basic unit of storage. So how to declare the variable means the data type, the variable name. Assigning the value for the variable is optional. Assigning the value for the variable is optional. So it is left to the programmer. So if he wants, he can assign when declaring the variable itself, or he can assign it in the future point of time when the need arises. So this is regarding the variables. The second thing is um, the second one is the dynamic initialization. The dynamic initializations. I just mute someone. Okay. The next one is the dynamic initialization. So dynamic initialization means, see in the previous example, I was giving the value of see here you can check the value of d. The value of d is given with 3. So static. So the value of d will remain throughout the program. Like initially you are given the value of d with 3, and for f also you're given the value with 5. Assuming that there will not be any changes to this, these are the static initialization. And z also, pi also given it as 3.149. So these are the static initialization which will not
Excuse
change.
me,
Yes.
many are waiting in lobby, sir.
See, many are waiting in the lobby, right? See if one second, I'll just check who are all waiting in the lobby. Okay. See, these three can contact the respective class teacher, and they will know the reason why they are not being allowed inside the class. See, dynamic initialization, static initialization. Static initialization means when while declaring the program itself, while declaring the variable itself, I'll give the value. So here, see the when declaring the variable A, I'm giving with value 3.0, and for B, I'm giving 4.0. So I'm giving the values of double. So, but in Java, you can also initialize the value of a variable dynamically. Means every time the value will keep on changing, or it can be assigned. It can be assigned by using the expressions or by using some formulas like that. So here a and b I'm assigning the value statistically so the value is being fixed, but the value for c the value for c is assigned through dynamic method. So dynamic method where I'm evaluating the expression, where I'm calculating the expression a star a plus b star b. So a star a means 3 into 3 will be 9.0 plus 4 into 4 will be 16.0. So the result of this will be 25.0, for which I'm applying the math.square root function, which will find the square root of 25. So C will get the value 5.0. Means here, here I'm using variables with a combination of expressions for assigning the value to C. Here the variable C is getting the value through the evaluation of the expression square root of a star a plus b star b. See, first two constants a and b, their first two variables a and b are assigned with the constants 3 and 4. However, for c, For C, I'm giving the dynamic value. For C, I'm giving the dynamic value where I'm calculating the square root, where I'm calculating the square root of the variable A and B, and that value is being initialized to C. And then after that, I am printing the value of C. So you know that what is variable? Variable means it's a basic unit of storage in Java program. Um, and there these how to declare a variable means data type, variable name. So these are some of the examples of
Excuse me,
creating
sir.
the. Yes.
Still they are waiting, sir.
See, you just wait. I will only inform them. See, next time, see those who have been admitted now, next time make sure that you will join the class within 5 minutes of the stipulated time. So if the class is starting at 3:10, the maximum time will be 3:15, because in between there will be interruption, and it will also it will not and the flow doesn't look good. Okay, when I'm talking about some concept, because if there is any frequent interruption means the flow will get disrupted. So I'm requesting you people, the 5 minutes relaxation will be given from 3:10 to 3:15. You can join. So if I'm not allowing someone to this class means those people can contact the class teachers. They will let you know the reason why they have not been allowed to the class teacher. And for those whom I'm allowing, to make sure that you will attend the classes within 5 minutes of putting up the link. Already the class started at 3:10, and now you people are coming at 3:25. What is this? See so this will disrupt the flow. That is what. So I want, while I'm talking about some concept, so it's like a disturbance. So you might feel that see, when if you come on the time, then I'll allow you to the class, right? And also I've dedicated the first 5 minutes for this purpose. And one more thing is, like, if you keep on entering into the lobby, there will be disturbance also. I'll be getting some beep sound when I'm talking, when I'm explaining the concept. So you just understand my situation also. From next time onwards, make sure that you will come inside the class within 5 minutes. So that is what I just wanted to tell. Um, we'll continue with the classes then. So what I discussed means, I discussed about the variables. Variables means the basic unit of storage in Java program. How to declare the variable. So you can declare the variable, and you need not assign the value to the variable. So that is option. And also if you want to assign the value to the variable while declaring the variable itself, you can assign that. So one is a static allocation. That is where you are assigning the constant to a variable. In our example, where I'm assigning D with 3 and F with 5 and Z with 22, pi with 3.14159, and character X with the value of X. And the second one is dynamic initialization, where you're assigning the value of uh, where you're assigning a value for the variable C through the expression where you're calculating the A star and B star, and then you're adding A star A plus B star B, that is A square plus B square, and then you're finding the square root of that. So this is the dynamic initialization. So mm, two things: variables, static initialization, dynamic initialization. So this is regarding the variables in Java. The same way, now whatever you have studied in C, the syntax, everything is same, but we are here, the program is written in Java programming language, everything. So all these things we were writing inside the main function, but here we are writing with the like the main function in C. Everything was written with respect to the C syntax, but here we are writing with respect to the Java syntax. So this is regarding the variables. So the next thing is the scope and lifetime of a variable. So what do you mean by scope means? See, mm, a block will define the scope. So for example, just a trivial example. So there is one function called add. There is function called add, and I'm declaring variable called C. So the scope of this variable C is within this function called add. So a block where the opening parenthesis will, or opening curly brace, it will It will tell us the beginning of the block and the ending curly brace. This is the beginning of the block, and this will symbolize the ending of the block. So a scope. So a block will define the scope. In our example, for this add function, there is one variable called c. The scope of this variable c is within this function add. So what? So in Java, so you would have studied about the local variables, global variables in C as well as C++. So global variable means anyone can access, any function can access you. So it is accessible by all the components of the program. But local means it is specific. Local means um, it is specific to a particular block. For example, so if I write something, if I write I'll just write it in C format. So if I write integer a is equal to 5 after hash include preprocessor directive before the main function. So this variable a is a global variable which is accessed by all the functions. Main function can access, add function can access, subtract function can access. But there is a function called division. So there I'm using this variable called c. So this variable c is only accessible within this function called division, that we will call it as the local variable. So these we have two kinds of variables in C and C++: local variable, global variable. Global can be accessed by all the functions, whereas a local, it is limited to the block in which it is defined. In Java, we have this scope which is defined by the classes and which is defined by the methods. So so this class level scope has some properties and features which will not apply to the scope which is defined by the method. So the scope defined by the method will begin with the scope defined by the method will begin with the opening braces, curly brace, and the closing braces. So within this, the scope of the method, within this, the scope of the method will be defined. And one more thing is like, if this method, see, method means functions. Okay, there is a function called add. So this is a function, no? So the scope of the variable for this function add will be within this block. And if it contains parameter, then those parameters are also included. And as a general rule, variables which are declared, as a general rule, I'll just clear this. So too many. as a general rule as a general rule, the variables that are declared inside the block, I mean here, if they are declared inside the block, for example integer k, so these variables will not be accessible outside the class. I cannot access from here k is equal to 5. I'll get an error because the scope of this variable is within this class itself. See, one example can be like, for example, in your class there is some student who has a USN 180 or 120 or some USN number is there. The student with that USN is in B section. So obviously if I go and search him, in um, C section or A section, definitely I will not find him because his scope is limited to your class. So the same way. So if there is a for an add function, if I'm using a variable k, that variable k is available only within that add function. Outside the add function, I cannot access this variable. So this is for um, the variables which are declared inside the method. So um, so that is what I just wanted to tell. So if a variable is declared within the class, if the variable is declared within the class means, for example, there is a class called a. So for this class, if you declare a variable within this class called k, so this k is accessible by the members of this class. So if there is a main function, if there is a add function, if there is subtract function, so all these things can access the variable k. So that is the scope. The scope of that variable will be within the class. Here the scope of the variable will be within the method. So here also you can check, some examples have been given. So one example is like what I'm doing here. I'll just write. I don't write the commands. I'll just write the explanation. Main function is there. I'm declaring a variable with x is equal to 10. So this variable x is accessible within this main function. Within this main function, anyone can access this variable x. After that, I'm writing some condition is writing some condition. If x is equal to 10, then y is equal to 20. So this variable 20, it is accessible. It is used only within the if block, within only this beginning of the if block and closing of the if block. So outside this area, if I try to access y is equal to 500, I will get an error because y cannot, I don't know where is y. See, you assume that this is B section. So this is A section. So I can access a person within this area itself, within the if block only. So outside that, if I try to access y, I will not find him. The same way here, the variable, y is within the if condition x is equal to 10. So outside this block, if I try to access this variable outside this, if I try to access this y is equal to 500, or if I try to access y value, I will get an error. Why? Because the value y is inside, or its scope is limited, or its functionality is limited only within the if block. So see, x x is known even from inside the if block also you can access x, because x is known to everyone. But whereas y, it's the functionality of y is limited within the if block. So outside this, if you try to write y is equal to 100, you will get an error. But still you can write x is equal to 500, because x can be accessed by anyone within this main function. So this is the scope. So mm, that is what you can nest the scope and all. So any doubt here, any doubt with respect to this example, any doubt with respect to this code? See, what it has done means, for the main function I'm declaring a variable x. That variable x anyone can access, because everyone knows that value x inside the main function. So inside the if condition, I'm writing one more variable called y. So this variable y, it is not, see, this variable y, it is known only within, if condition. So outside this if condition, if you try to access, you will get an error telling that the scope is not visible, the scope is not there. So did you get this? Any doubt with respect to this? Any doubt? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll talk about one more example. Mm, Here we are talking about the values. Here we will talk about um, the values of the variable and how it will change. So one thing is like, um, here also what we have done here also. See, just go through this code for a minute. You just go through this code for a minute, so that when I explain, you'll understand it better. You just go through this code, or you just check what this code is doing, how the for loop is being working. Okay. See, one more point which I wanted to tell. So before using the variable, you should declare. So before using the variable x, I should declare that, and I can write it as x is equal to 10. So, but if I try to do the reverse of that, if I try to write, sorry, if I try to write, so just give me a minute. So if I try to write x is equal to 10, and then if I try to declare, I'll get an error. for this. So first thing is, before using the variable, I should declare that. You keep this point in mind. So before using the variable, I should declare that variable. Sometimes you will get an error called variable undeclared. So that time you should remember this point. Also, the next thing is, we were talking about this example. We're talking about this example, right? So in this, first I'll explain what the program is doing, and then we'll talk about the logic. So here I have declared a variable called x. For x is equal to 0, x less than 3, x plus plus. I'll initialize the value of y to -1, then I'll print the value of y, and again I will change the value of y from -1 to 100. I'll print the value of y. So loop will be repeated three times: when x is equal to 0, when x is equal to 1, when x is equal to 2, because conditions like 0 less than 3 will be true, 1 less than 3 will be true, 2 less than 3 will be true. When x is equal to 3, it will come out of the for loop. It will come out of the for loop. So when x is equal to 0, what will happen? When x is equal to 0, 0 less than 3 will be true. So first thing is, you are declaring a variable called y, and y is equal to -1. So then you are trying to print output y is value of y. So first time you will get y is equal to, sorry, y is -1. After that you are assigning the value of y with 100. Again you are printing y is now 100. Again you will get the output as y is now 100. So after this, the control will go to the initial increment step. So in the increment step, x will be incremented. First it was 0, now it will become 1. Again it will check the condition. Again it will check the condition. So now it is checking the condition. Again after that it will come inside the for loop. Again here also, the again the value of y will be reinitialized to -1. So in when x was 0, the value of y was initialized to -1, and then y was assigned a new value 100. So every time the control will enter this for loop, the value of y will be initialized with -1 and then with 100. Y with -1, then with 100. So that's why every time you'll get the output y is -1, y is 100. For x is equal to 0, y is -1, y is 100. For x is equal to 1, y is -1, y is 100. For x is equal to 2. So what it is happening means, see, uh, see, the variables will be created. The variables will be created when the control comes to the for loop, and it will be destroyed when the control leaves the for loop. So means, when their scope is entered, so variables will be created when their scope is entered, and it will be destroyed when their scope is left. So um, whatever value is there, it will be removed once it goes out of the scope. So that's why whenever you're declaring a variable within the functions, that values will not be contained when you're calling the functions between, or when you're calling a function call to that method. So that is why in this example also, when you're leaving the block, the variable will lose its value. So the lifetime, or the lifetime of a variable y, here the lifetime of a variable y is confined to that for loop, or the block which is defined for that for loop. So once you leave the for loop, the variable y loses its value. So that is what I just wanted to tell. So 2 points: every time you enter the block, the value is getting initialized, and the scope of this variable, once it leaves the scope, once it enters the scope, the variable will be created, and once it leaves the scope, the variable will be destroyed. So this is regarding the lifetime of a variable. Then and the next thing is like, see, in the previous example you were nesting the blocks, but even if you nest the block also, like, uh, within the block you're writing one more block. So this is already one block, so inside that block you're writing one more block. So even though the blocks can be nested, but you cannot use the same values. Like here also you cannot use x, and here also you cannot use x. The same way, see, here also they are using bar, and here also they are using bar. So this is not allowed. So if you do like this, you will get a compile time error. So within the blocks, even though blocks can be nested, you cannot you cannot use the same variable name. So this is regarding the lifetime of the variable or scope of the variable. So next thing is type conversion. See, type conversion means in C also you would have studied like um, integer will be there, the data type will be integer. You want to convert that integer data type to floating point number for some operations. So that is also that features are also there in Java also. So in Java, if you want, what is type conversion means? Converting one type of data to another type of data, like converting an integer to the float, converting byte to the float, or converting long to the float. So this we will call it as type conversion. So um, so one thing is like see here in Java, if the two types are compatible, if the two types are compatible, Java will perform the conversion automatically. Like it is possible to convert, it is possible uh, to assign an integer data type to long data type. That is, it is possible to assign an integer value to the long variable, because the size of the long variable is bigger when compared to the integer. But one thing is like not all the types, not all the 8 data types are compatible. So for that purpose, like so some places, see, automatic type conversion means um, for the two things to be taken care. One thing is the type should be compatible. Type should be compatible means I told you that it is possible to store integer value into a long variable, but s- for few data types the types are not compatible. For example, you cannot convert from double to byte, because the size of the byte is 1 byte, whereas the size of the double is 8 bytes, so that is bigger. So second condition is the destination type should be larger when compared to the source type. Otherwise the data, we will lose data because of truncation and all. So what Java will do means Java will convert one type of data into another type. For that, the automatic type conversion is there, and this automatic type conversion will take place only when the two types are compatible. The two conditions are there: when the two types should be compatible, and the destination type should be larger than the source type. See, for example, integer to long is possible because those two types are compatible, and the integer size is smaller when compared to the long. So that is the second thing. Um, so that's why you can check. See, integer type is always long. So for example, integer type is always large enough to hold all the byte data, because byte is smaller when compared to the integer. So integer can store whatever the byte is storing. So these are the things. So automatic conversion means conversion from one data type to the another data type. So here what will happen means there are few more points which we can add it to this type conversion. So when what will happen what will happen when the types are compatible, when the destination type is larger than the source type means the widening conversion will takes place, because now the smaller data type will be stored in a bigger data type. So when so for this widening conversion, the numeric data types like integer and floating point types, they are compatible with each other, but you cannot convert because there are no automatic conversions from numeric to character. You cannot convert from number to character or numeric to boolean. So conversion is possible from numeric to floating type, and also you cannot convert from numeric types to character, or you cannot convert from numeric type to boolean, and also you cannot convert from character to boolean. So you should know the compatibility. You should know the compatibility. So that is the one thing which I wanted to tell. So so what will happen? So what will happen if you want to convert the incompatible data types? So automatic type conversion will be performed if there is a compatibility. So what if the compatibility is not there? So how do you convert them? So for example, you want to convert an integer. You want to convert an integer to byte. You know that the size of the integer is bigger when compared to the size of the byte variable. So this conversion will not be performed automatically, because we know that automatic type conversion two conditions should be met. So the two conditions, like even though it is compatible, the second condition, the destination is smaller than the source thing. So that condition is not being met. So what we have to do means, now your implicit conversion can be done. The implicit conversion can be done where you are converting a bigger data type into a smaller data type. Bigger data type forcefully, like you are converting an integer data type to the byte data type. This process we will call it as narrowing. So widening means automatic type conversion will perform this widening thing, and narrowing will be done by the programmer. It will be done by the programmer where you are converting the larger data type into smaller data type. So in this example, I'm converting integer. What is the size of the integer? Yesterday we studied, no, byte short int 4. The integer is being converted to byte. See the size. So this kind of operation we will call it as narrowing. So what will happen means, for example, if I try to convert a floating point number into an integer type, I will lose data. Like if it is 12.5, I want to convert from float to integer. If it is 12.5, if I perform the narrowing, what will happen? 12.5 will become 12, and I'm losing zero point 0.5. So this we will call it as truncation. This we will call it as truncation. So how do you convert? So how to convert? So you know that automatic type conversion is not possible. Manually you have to convert that. So how do you convert that means? For that we have one syntax. For that we have syntax. Manually the programmer can convert to the type which we require. For that thing, the syntax is what is a target type and value. So example is here. See here, I want to convert integer a. So a is of type, a belongs to integer. I want to convert this a to byte type. So for that, I want to convert this a to byte. So value will be a. And what is my target? I want to convert this a from integer to byte. So that's why I'm writing this line, byte a. So this line is the process of converting from one data type to another data type through the programmer. So what I'm doing means, this line will convert the a, which is an integer, to byte. So this is how the implicit conversion will take place. And also I told you that if you want to convert 12.5, so what will happen? The resultant will be 1. So for example, there is one float. There is one value called float. Float. I don't want to write a. I write b is equal, not b. A and b are already used, right? So float c is equal to 12.5. So now I want to convert this float. Now I want to convert this float to integer. So how to convert that means, I want to convert this float. I want to convert this float to integer. So my target type is integer. So I'll write it as integer, and I have to convert this float. Float is stored in C. So now D will contain the value 12. So now C is being truncated, and I'm losing zero point 0.5 as the zero point 0.5 of the fractional part of that is loss, which we will call it as truncation. So this is the type conversion. So one is automatic type conversion, other one is the user is performing the type conversion. So um, so any doubt with respect to the type conversion? One is automatic type conversion, the second one is the programmer is converting the type. Any doubt here? Any doubt? Yes or no? Any doubt? Yes, no. See, someone respond. So someone just unmute from your side and you just respond whether you understood or not, or should I repeat any concept? Okay, so
So
so you can check the example here. You can check the examples here. So what is the value? See, byte b. Okay, b byte. I is integer. I is integer with value 257, and d is double. D is double with 323, 142, some value. So now I'm converting this. The first thing is I'm converting this integer. So I'm converting this integer I to byte. So conversion of integer to byte, 257. Actual it is 257. So 257 is the integer value. 257 is the integer value. So you can check that I 257 is the integer value. But when I'm converting that integer, when I'm converting that integer to byte, I'm getting the value as 1 because of loss of data. Because of loss of data, the data is getting truncated because you know that the size, you know that the range of byte is from minus 127 to 128. But here I am trying to fit 257. Here I am trying to fit the value 257 into byte. So what it is happening internally means, what it is happening internally means, uh, see, value of integer is 257, but the range of byte is only minus 127 to 128. So when I'm trying to fit in this 257 into byte, what is happening means it is dif- it is dividing this 257 by 256. By 256 means it is the range. It is the range. You can check a range of byte is minus 127 to 128. So the range of byte will be 256. So 257 when divided by 256, the remainder will be 1. So that's why you'll get the output as 1. So you can check this on the systems. You can check this in the online compiler. So that's why when I try to fit in the integer value to the byte, I'm getting the output as 1. In the second case, I'm trying to fit in double to integer. So double to integer means I'll get only the integer part. So that's why 323.142, I will get only the integer part. The fractional part is getting cut off. And the same way you can check with when you're trying to fit in double to byte. When you're trying to fit in double to byte, so you can check that. So you are getting the output as 67. So because see, when I divided this 257 by 256, the remainder was 1. The remainder. So this is a remainder. So you can use the modulus 257 modulus 256 the same way. 323 323 modulus 256. So you'll get the output as 67. 323 modulus 256. So that's why when you try to convert a double into a byte, so the output will be 67. So this is the way. Here also you are losing the data, which we will call it as the truncation. So this is an example which will demonstrate the typecasting. So the remaining we will see in the next class. So I'll stop the class now. The remaining we'll see in the upcoming classes. Any doubts here? Any doubts? Any doubts? Any doubts? Any doubts?